Hello again, Saber people. It's been a while. I've been doing a couple things in the background, but I just wanted to post another breakdown of a commission build. This is Nick's Marrok saber, Marrok, from KRSabers and Jimmy's Saber Junk, and it is a beast. It's enormous. I can barely actually fit it in the frame. It's a really, really incredible saber, like lots of really unique engineering. The install is kind of complicated. You have to do things in a certain order, but once it's done, it's really quite fantastic. So I went ahead and attached all the little greeblies for you, Nick. So all of the little brass pieces, all of the little accent pins, the heat shields up here by the emitters, and everything else. So this kit is now, and obviously the coloured ribbing on the grip protector. I don't know what you would call this big circular piece. Anyway, it's all ready to go, fully installed. Just do a quick breakdown of the kit that's in here. It is a 22mm speaker, I believe, that lives kind of around here in the middle and sound vents through this thinner section. We've got 3 buttons, which I'll cover later. We've got this mechanical golden switch back here, this brass switch. It's got 2 stock V4s, stock V4 eco connectors, one in each end. It's running on a Proffie 3.9, and it's got a 1650 battery, I believe. 21. Can't remember what the battery is in here. It's not a standard size. It's a little bit larger because obviously it's trying to run 2 blades. So the setup for this one, I spent a bit of time going back and forth with Jon at Sabers Forever and Brian Conner over on the Facebook group, the Proffie Facebook group, to try and get the button setup working. So the way this works now is, because obviously there's 3 buttons and 2 blades, I wanted to do something a little bit different for this one. So the top button will ignite your top blade. It's relevant to whichever way the button is facing, basically. So this top button will ignite this blade, which is considered your main blade, and then this lower button, the bottom one, will light the lower blade, the secondary blade. And then the middle button acts as an ignition for both of them at the same time, as well as triggering the auxiliary effects. Now for the blade styles, it's a typical Marrok blade style, the kind of flickery red one that you see in the Ahsoka show from the FET 263, the FET 263 style library. The auxiliary button for all the clashes and the blaster deflects and stuff, that will only show on whichever blade is pointed upwards, because it's kind of implied that that would be the main blade that you're pointing towards whatever's going on. So when you're holding it this way up, this is the blade that will get the flashes from all the clashes and the blaster blocks and things like that. And when you're holding it that way up, it'll be this blade. I hope that makes sense. It takes 2 standard 1-inch neopixel blades. The 1-inch blade that I have is a little bit snug, so I'm going to show it off in a minute with a 1-inch and a 7/8, because I don't have 2 1-inch blades that fit nicely, but any other blade should fit fine, no problem. Yeah, so let's go through firing this thing up. I'm missing a couple screws at the moment, just because I was still tinkering with the config, and you need to remove these 4 screws beneath the buttons in order to reach the Proffieboard, because it sits a little bit lower. But it basically, everything sits behind this latching mechanism. So you click the brass trigger and this whole section slides down, revealing a couple of things. Firstly, it reveals your recharge port. This is a 2.1mm barrel jack recharge port. And this is how you recharge the saber. At the moment, it's on about 90% battery. I'll ship it out as it is. There's not much more testing I have to do on it, so it'll come to you with pretty high battery. You shouldn't need to recharge it for any time, but I can point you towards a suitable recharge if you need one. So that's there, that's how you get power into the saber. And then if you flip it around on the other side, you will see you've got your kill switch, which is located just inside in there. Now typically this outer shroud piece wouldn't slide down this far, because you can see it allows me to see the Proffieboard, kind of just inside in here. Normally it only slides down about half this distance when these screws are in place here, and that's how it'll be when you're using it. Basically, if you ever want to access the board, you have to remove those 4 screws, and then the whole piece can slide down further. Otherwise, it'll only slide down a little bit, which is all the access you need to reach the kill switch and the recharge port. So I'll boot this on. So you boot into the Marrok sound font. I did my usual thing. We did a Marrok sound font as the main one, and then I also threw on the kyberphonic Kyber Workshop ones, which is just a series of different color palettes. Blue, red, green, yellow, purple, and white. but the Marrok one is the main one that has all the tracks associated with it. In order to get the dual blades working the way we wanted, I had to run with Brian Conner's button setup rather than the FET263 button setup, which I usually use. I'm not as familiar with this one, so I can't run you through as many of the features, but I can show you the most important ones which you'll need when operating the saber. So yeah, let's just run through a couple of them. So hitting the top button will obviously ignite the front blade, like that. Shines nicely. And then you can click the top button for the auxiliary. And then you can do the same deal with the bottom button to ignite the second blade. And then click that. And you'll get flashes down there as well. And then this middle button will ignite both of them, or in this case, turn them off. And to turn them off, you hold it. And it'll de-ignite both blades. So I'm just going to quickly pop some blades in and tighten up the retention screws. There's quite a few retention screws on this one. It does come with a 1 inch to 7/8 inch blade holder adapter, which could be useful. I think this saber probably would suit better 7/8 inch blades because they're lighter, and if you're going to be swinging it around, then yeah, you'll be wanting lighter stuff on either end basically. One thing I did notice with this particular kit when I was putting it together, the listing on the site says that the locking mechanism for this ring, which folds out, has been calibrated and locked in quite nicely, but I found it was a little too loose for my liking. So if you give it a swing in any sort of particular way, sometimes this will de-lock from the ball bearing and come loose like that, and it's a little bit inconvenient. There's good friction on it, but not enough to hold it if you're doing any sort of lateral movement with it like that. So what you can do when you get your hands on this is kind of like framing my face with it. When you get your hands on it, you can take it apart and tweak the ball fitting. I didn't want to do it myself because it specifically said on the listing that they had been calibrated properly, and to mess with it would cause problems, so I haven't done that. If I were you, I would maybe tighten it a bit more so there's more friction when it opens and closes, but I'm going to leave you to do that because I think it might also void the warranty if we start messing with the ball screws inside, so I didn't want to touch that. James at Jimmy Saber Junk, who designed this hilt, has a really great breakdown video on the mechanics of the locking system, how it all fits into place, and how you can adjust the tolerances should you want to do that, if you're finding it is a bit too loose for your liking. But me personally, it was a little bit too loose. I think that covers everything with this kit. I'll pop some blades in and just show it off with the blades in so you know that those are working, and then that should be everything. Okay, I'm back with blades in. As you can see, they are different sizes. One of them is a 1 inch that is very snug, and the other one is a 7/8 inch, which fits, in my opinion, a lot better. The grub screws that attach these blades down are these two up here and these two down here. The reason there's two of them is because one of them is designed to go through the 7/8 inch ring adapter that comes with this kit. So if you do what I suggested, which is use 7/8 inch blades, then you would only ever have to loosen them slightly to keep the ring adapter in, and then you can slide a 7/8 inch blade in and out nice and easily. But yeah, here you go. I'll just show it off with the usual features. Like I said, I'm not super familiar with Brian Conner's button setup. I know it's similar to FET's. I think the main difference is the track player, or the lack thereof, in Brian Conner's setup. But it's the usual stuff. It's click to ignite, click for the blaster blocks, press and hold for other functions. So yeah, let's give it a go. One blade. This thing is heavy. Second blade. And then you can fold this out, obviously. And that's it. Kind of wary to swing it around too much. And then if you click the middle one, you'll get orc flashes as well. But like I said, it will only trigger on the blade that is pointing upwards at the time or forwards. So for instance, it's only on that blade. Flip it the other way. Only on that blade. Whichever blade is upward, basically. And then press and hold to deactivate. I have disabled the gesture controls on this one because it can be a little bit unwieldy, just because of the orientation of the Proffieboard compared to the blades. So I found I wasn't getting super great response out of the gesture controls, so I just turned them off rather than messing around with it. But you've got all the functionality you could need from the 3 buttons here. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Any questions, Nick? Fire away. If not, I will get this one shipped out to you, get it packed up nice and safely and shipped out. It was quite complicated to put together, so thank you to Brian and Jon for going through their config, because I know that they were the first ones to do this triple button setup with the dual blades. It works great, really happy with it. We could have done things another way using a FET button prompt for it. FET button prop, for instance, but I think that would have taken away from the desired effect of being able to ignite like one blade at a time. That's also quite cool. Being able to trigger just one of them and work that one independently is quite nice. Let me just try and change sound font a second. So what's the aux button going to be? It'll be technically the middle one. So if I press and hold, there we go. I can change sound font to the blue one, the kyberphonic one. And there you can see how that works. So yeah, like I said, you've got a bunch of different colors on there. And then you should be good to go. This kind of saber kind of does everything you could want from it. I mean, the engineering is really great. The install was a little fiddly, but we got it done. It was mainly the config that I spent a lot of time on for this one, but really happy with the end result. Hope you like it, Nick. I'll get it out to you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching, everybody. May the force be with you, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.